Good evening, one and all. This is Harry Kettle of Sportskeeda, and today we are being joined by a very special guest. This man is a WWE Hall of Famer. He is one of the greatest commentators in the history of professional wrestling, and he will be heading to New Orleans for WrestleMania weekend in just a few days' time. It is none other than good old JR, Jim Ross. Jim, how are you today?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
It's okay. We touched on WrestleMania weekend just then, and that's where we'll kick things off. You'll be hosting the Slobber Knocker sessions on Friday morning at 10 a.m. in NOLA. What does it mean to you personally to be able to go to the host city of Mania every year and experience the atmosphere of thousands of wrestling fans kind of being in one spot, not just for WWE, but just for their love of the business?
Well, I love being around the fans, first of all, in any environment. I also, enjoy the opportunity to pick their brain and to talk to them and stuff. That's what we do our show, and that's why I only have 100 tickets available. So it's good, I enjoy the whole WrestleMania experience. It's really evolved amazingly. I did an interview not too long ago. Somebody talking about going to WrestleMania in Hartford, Connecticut. I think it was WrestleMania 11. But seeing where it's gone from like a regular arena, like in Hartford, to stadiums, domes, and tons of people, it's pretty it's pretty awe-inspiring to say the least.
We were just speaking about growth there. When you look at the growth of things like independent wrestling and New Japan, which you've been involved in over the last few years, is that something that surprises you, or was this something you'd say was always bound to happen?
I think fans like new. They like to anticipate new things on their radar. So, a niche brand like a New Japan, not a shock, not a surprise that they're on the radar. They have a hell of a good product. They got a good crew, and they promote great events. At least in my opinion. So I think the WWE has, with their big footprint, has helped the entire wrestling world into bettering themselves. And we can't argue the point successfully that the fact that there's a lot of companies who are going to have big weekends in New Orleans coming up, big nights, big days, and including myself, thanks to WWE drawing a huge crowd into New Orleans for WrestleMania. It's a phenomenon, and WWE doesn't get the credit they deserve sometimes, perhaps. But boy, they do a lot of great things for the entire business, including creating a profit center for a lot of smaller companies this coming weekend.
Now, in terms of the logistics behind some of the things that you do personally with your commentating, as time goes on and you make these kind of returns and appearances, so you've been doing work with New Japan and you did a one-off for WrestleMania 33 last year, does the process of doing the commentary kind of get easier because you've been doing it for so long, or do you find that the ring rust that wrestlers experience can also apply to commentary in certain ways?
Oh, I believe that the more you do, the more you engage in that skill set, the better you do, the better it is, I think. The good thing with Access TV and New Japan is that I get to, stay engaged on a regular basis. Because I go to Los Angeles about once a month and voice over turning about 4 shows for New Japan and for Access TV, all the New Japan products. So it's a unique dynamic, no doubt. But I really am enjoying being reconnected on a regular basis to a very strong, fundamentally sound wrestling product. And you get that with New Japan without a doubt. They're sound fundamentally. I like their physicality. I like their ability to work snug. So it's a fun product to watch and to follow.
So when you look at kind of others in the commentary landscape, different companies have different guys and variations of styles. Are there certain attributes that you think make people more successful in these kind of roles, like their ability to think on their feet or possessing a specific tone of voice or anything like that? Or do you think that whatever works for every individual person?
Well, I think that the key thing is to discover who you are and be that person. The more authentic one can be, I believe, the more successful that they will become. Wrestling fans are very intelligent nowadays. They've always had a keen sense of, the genre, the uniqueness of it. But I think that the fans understand what's going on. They should be respected more by a lot of guys, a lot of people. So I enjoy something like my show at in New Orleans on Friday. The Sovereign Rocker sessions. We sold 100 tickets. It's not a massive profit center. It's the fact that I enjoy doing these events because it's myself and 100 wrestling fans, period. And we have a great time. So that's kind of the theory behind that. The uniqueness of having a 100-person event is very cool to me. Everybody gets attention. Everybody gets to be involved. And of course, we have that's at ticketfly.com. There are not many tickets left, to be honest with you. It's almost sold out, but ticketfly.com will have all that information and your tickets.
And considering you've been doing these shows for a few years now, are there certain things that you've learned along the way with these experiences that you'll kind of bring with you into New Orleans and then into any future shows that you do?
Well, the concept that I'm utilizing this year is much more is different than I've used in the past. This is not my normal, stage show. Have a lot of drinks, go crazy event, and where the audience of 300-400 people is just they're in the darkness. This concept is a lot more personal. It's a lot more private. It's a lot more respectful, in my opinion, than anything I've done. So it's a unique concept. We're not going for we're going for a quality audience and not a quantity audience. And I think that's what we generally find in this. One of the more stimulating, intelligently challenging things that I do. I really do look forward to it. It helps me stay fresh and on my toes, if you will.
Now, in your own career, you've had so many moments that just stand out above the rest and were a big part of so many fans' childhoods. So when members of the WWE Universe or fans recite these classic calls to you and bring up things like the Mankind call and the Hell in a Cell match, do you still enjoy it as much at these shows, or would you prefer for them to focus on maybe what you're doing in the present day and what you're going to be looking to do in the future?
Oh gosh, I appreciate any aspect of my career that's remembered. I'm not so big an egotist that I want them to believe or to think of only now, because my career is not only about now. My career is about then, and it's unique. So gosh, no, any aspect of what I do or what I've done that is remembered is appreciated. So that's kind of how I look at that. Guys in our world, where you're a public figure, whatever the hell you want to say, some of them take themselves too seriously. I try not to. I'm sure I've fallen into that category at times in my life. But I really believe that you find more happiness and contentment if you can identify with your audience. And the great thing for me is that I have always been a wrestling fan. I am today. I was yesterday. I will be tomorrow. And I say that with absolutely no remorse. To me, it's really, really natural. So I was lucky to become that fan, to get connected to the business as it traveled through its evolution. And I connected at a right place, right time scenario that's led me on the most unique journey that of about anybody you can talk to about the wrestling business. Because of where I was, when, where, and how, and what role, and all that stuff. So, I've been really, really blessed with being at the right place at the right time, and still staying connected. But I enjoy you can't navigate your future if you don't know your past. So do not dwell on one's past, but understand it. How it happened, when it happened, and why it happened. It will help everybody negotiate and navigate the future. It's just common sense.
Yeah. And something that members of the WWE Universe on that kind of topic in particular like to do these days is kind of make comparisons and sometimes hurl abuse at people like Michael Cole. You see people saying that if JR was commentating during certain moments that a particular segment would have been improved and things of that nature. Does it kind of frustrate you or annoy you to see and hear that, considering how long you worked with Michael and considering that he's proven many times just how good he is?
Oh gosh, fans today have a very unique voice, and they're very willing to share it on social media, as we have experienced, as you've indicated. Michael works his ass off. He's a good family man. He's a company man. He works very diligently to do his job. I respect him for all those things. I've always liked him. He's a good dude. Folks won't understand that. They only judge him by his television persona, rightly or wrongly. I don't know. But yeah, it's kind of frustrating because I know how hard he works. Hey, look, I was lucky. I didn't follow Gordon Soley directly. I followed Tony Schiavone, who followed Gordon Soley. Challenge he did for Tony, who's a hell of an announcer. Very, very, very underrated. So when Michael Cole came on the scene, he was replacing me. And without sounding so overwhelmingly egotistic that it's sickening, that was challenging for him because I was what the audience was accustomed to. Let's not forget, I had 19 years of establishing my body of work before I got to WWE at WrestleMania 9. So I had a lot of time to establish who I was and what I was and so forth. So I feel badly in a lot of ways for that. But there's nothing I can do. He knows, Michael knows, he knows he does good work, and I believe he does good work. So it's a tough job right now. It's a tough job. I'm not overwhelmed, and of course I say this, and it will be construed very quickly, rightly or wrongly, and I can assure you what it is, it's not rightly, that I am angry or bitter or whatever. Good Lord, I'm not angry or bitter. I've had a wonderful career. I've made a lot of money. I've traveled the world. I lived my dream. My God, what could I be upset about? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So, but I just know that it's a tough job. The social media voice is strong for a lot of people. I do my work with Josh Barnett for Access TV on New Japan Wrestling a couple of weeks ago from Long Beach in a live show, and by some of the minority of the New Japan fan base of hardcores, they want me to die, and it's kind of heavy, So I don't know what you say about that. I can't do anything about it. It's silly. It's a goddamn wrestling match. Get over yourself. Get out of the basement and go make friends. Because all you can do is, nobody can ever debate that I did not provide effort. My heart was in the right place. If my style doesn't fit your taste, then that is your prerogative. But no one can say that I was ill prepared or that I was ill prepared or that I phoned it in. That don't happen in my world.
Yeah, it's a great mentality that you've got there. And you mentioned Josh Barnett, and you're obviously very integrated in other sports, courtesy of your love of the Sooners. But we wanted to actually touch quickly on mixed martial arts. How much time do you have these days to follow what's going on in the UFC, Bellator, and other promotions? And have you ever thought about getting more involved in the sport over the years?
I watch as a fan. I enjoy it as a fan of watching televised MMA, including UFC and Bellator. Certainly, their business is not unlike WWE's business. It's all about attractions. To get your audience to tune in for a fight, whether it be boxing or MMA, the Octagon or whatever, or WWE at WrestleMania. It's all about the attractions that have been built and the pairings that have been created to present at this showcase event. Pretty simple stuff. In other words, television and talent drive the events. The UFC, in my opinion, is they need to develop some new stars, obviously. That's not a revelation. They don't have Ronda anymore. They don't have, right now they don't have access or aren't using Conor McGregor. Lesnar is not back there yet. Apparently he will be soon. GSP, absent. He's not there. So they need to develop some new stars because their big breadwinners are no longer readily accessible. So that's a big thing for me, is that the UFC needs to develop new stars. And that's not unlike any other boxing, especially that way. Boxing's like 2 or 3 stars deep. Boxing right now is very anemic. MMA is not as anemic by any stretch, but they really need to develop some new stars that average Joes like me can hang their hat on, and they haven't done that in a while. And WWE same way. Who's going to get over, as the old wrestling cliche goes? Who's getting over? I don't know. The audience will tell us.
Now, you've done some other ventures outside of your own shows, which includes Inside the Ropes here in the UK. What is it about fans in Britain and Europe, do you believe, that makes our region kind of so special or has such a reputation? And why do you think people have such a strong connection to the European style of wrestling and to wrestling in Europe these days?
Well, there's a purity and a to the wrestling there. Purity is important. Fundamentally sound. It's got long roots, which I think is very important. Um, Fans are knowledgeable. They study the business. They understand what's going on. So they make an effort to contribute, and I think that's wonderful. So I've had great experiences in the UK. As a matter of fact, we're going to come back there and soon for a book tour and a Q&A and a several day tour there in the UK coming up very soon. It's not quite finalized, so I can announce the dates. I wish I could, but it will be a blast for me because I love coming over. I had a great time when I was with my friends at ITV, and we did the World Sports Special that one year on New Year's Eve. They're wonderful to work with. The fan base, the technicians, everybody. They love the wrestling, and I love them for that. So it's been a real love affair for me. I'm not one that leaves the UK and says the food was bland, this was that. I just met great people, fun. They're uninhibited. I enjoy the pint, so forth and so on. I enjoy it there. I really do. It's really a natural fit for me because I can sit at a pub all afternoon and drink and talk to fans.
Yeah,
I like that stuff. So, but it's good. I'm looking forward to coming back. But the UK is a special place. The wrestling roots run deep there, and it's not looked upon as a eyeball rolling pastime. It's got significance. And I think that's just wonderful.
and moving back to this weekend, WrestleMania, obviously. The show is set to be 7 hours long, or potentially even longer, including the pre-show, which happened last year and the year before. A lot of fans are a bit worried about the length, considering how many matches they've got to get through and maybe the fatigue that will set in. Are you in favour of the show being that long, or do you kind of prefer to see it trimmed down or kind of sectioned down a bit?
Well, it's become more than a wrestling show. It's not your 2-hour pro wrestling event anymore. It's long since outgrown that. Now, would I have the patience or the butt strength to sit through 7 hours of anything in my life? That's questionable. To be honest with you, but I don't know how you address that. It's just I know a lot of people, including myself, will either take the event, make sure I got access to it on the WWE network or whatever, and access it. So, gosh, I don't know. If we were judging it simply on one pro wrestling show, and it's a big overexpanded wrestling event, then I might understand the 7-hour deal a little bit more stringently. What I think it is a festival. It's a festival that is going to last all day. Hence the 7 hours. Engage it in any portion that you choose, at any time that you choose. And if you experience the WWE Network for $9.99 a month, then it'll make a damn bit of difference because you got it. It's there. Watch it when you want, how you want and where you want. So, long answer to your question, I really don't have any issues with it, based on how people obtain the broadcast nowadays.
So when you get there to New Orleans in a day or two, when you actually arrive in the city, what is your usual plan during WrestleMania week now that you're not directly linked with the company? Do you like to go and see a couple independent shows? Do you kind of tend to meet up with people but before your show and then after your show? What's your kind of routine during what is probably, I imagine, one of the busiest weeks of the year?
Yeah, you get settled in. You just want to get on the ground from Oklahoma City to via Dallas to New Orleans. Get on the ground and get access to your belongings and get your ride to take you to the hotel. Then you want to make sure you're checked in good and you got your room is to your liking. I'd rather not have I'll be there 5 days. I'd rather not have a room with 2 beds. But nonetheless, little things like that you do, and you get through that. I didn't plan on going to some shows. I'm more inclined, honestly, to check out some things like, for example, Paul Heyman's show, or the Shenanigan show that David Hero and his guys do with Kevin Nash and company. Wale Mania may be on my list, my short list. But a lot of things where I can go in, I can do a drive-by, go in and say hello to my friends and have a cocktail or two, and then, politely leave is kind of my thing. I'm not big going to an entire wrestling show. I've had fun at WrestleManias doing wrestling, but that was when the NXT Takeover shows were just getting rolling. I thought that was phenomenal. But I'm not big on staying for a 2 or 3 hour wrestling show. Just not my thing these days.
I was actually at Wale Mania last year. Ironically, you mentioned there. It's completely different vibe that you get at that kind of show event compared to anything else. How important do you think it is for fans to be able to see the superstars and these larger than life characters that they see on TV every week? How important do you think it is for these select group of fans to be able to interact with them on such a kind of personable level?
Well, you hope it's going to be a positive experience. Certainly, if the quote-unquote stars don't choose to be a jackass and they're decent to the people, then it's a win. That's my goal every day, quite frankly. But if you're going to be, you got some kind of superstar complex, and you're above everybody you're interacting with, like some of the talents perceive they are, it ain't so great. So, but I enjoy it. I have no regrets. That's like, how you deal with people. If you don't lie to them, you ain't got to worry about what you said. Just tell the truth. Simple deal.
Yeah. And finally, this is something that we like to ask everybody. What do you believe the next 18 to 24 months have in store for Jim Ross, if you had to kind of think about where you'd like to be in the next 18 months to 2 years?
Well, I hope to finish my second book. The sequel to Slobberknocker should be done by then. That's one goal. I'm excited to relaunch my podcast on Westwood One on April the 11th, and they own over 450 radio stations in America, which is a big deal for me because it gives me a opportunity to promote my podcast on terrestrial radio, 450 stations deep, which is pretty damn strong and impressive. Plus, Westwood One is a premier sports broadcaster, and for us to say, well, JR will never do football or something to that degree, on Westwood One would not be accurate. So there's a lot of reasons we signed with Westwood One, and the radio component is one of those reasons. So I'm really excited about the opportunity to work with those guys. So I said the next, the future for JR is finish that second book, with a Cyberknocker book, and I'm making plans to do that now. I'm looking to isolate myself and maybe at some Airbnb type location in the summer to basically book it, to book the beginning, the middle, and the end of my book, my second book. Then Paul O'Brien and I will cut loose on it, start writing. So that's kind of where I got on my agenda. And then, I'm going to do a few shows. We're going to do some JR and the King shows. Jerry Lawler and I are going to combine for some Q&As, stage shows this year. I think we just got one signed, or agreed to, I think it's maybe Nashville or somewhere. So we're going to do a series of those. That's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait for that because it's so natural. The Q&As that the fans can ask the King and I during the Attitude Era or wherever. He's got an amazing career before WWE. Mine wasn't bad. So we got a lot of things we can talk about, and people need to understand how gifted Jerry is. So that we got that work on that too. So a lot of cool things are up. You just can't stop thinking, man. You just gotta continue to evolve and grow. The thing is, for me, and I'm a big believer of this, is that if you allow yourself to dwell for any extended length of time in your quote-unquote comfort zone, then your comfort zone will end up eating your ass up. Because if you're not growing, you're dying. And most people don't want to think of it in those terms, but the bottom line is, it's a fact. If you're not growing and progressing your life, your relationship, your job, whatever it may be, if you're not doing that, then what you're doing is you're dying. And I ain't ready for that yet. I don't want to retreat. I believe that we can all continue to grow until the day that our time is up. And so even though I realize in my life right now, I'm on my quote-unquote back nine. My back nine, my golf course is where I am now. I get it. Don't scare me a damn bit. I got a lot to give. I got a lot of experiences to have. And one of the great things is, having this amazing audience of fans that believe in what I'm doing and they give a damn. And so as long as my fan base gives a damn, then I sure as heck would give a damn. Pretty simple piece of mathematics.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from the man himself, and if you can, I urge you to get down to the Hilton Garden Inn, New Orleans Airport, Lake Town Room, this Friday if you're in New Orleans, or if you're going to New Orleans, ticketfly.com, the last handful of tickets. Jim, it has been an absolute honour speaking with you. I can't wait to see wherever you go from here, and I hope you bring one of those shows with you and King over to the UK.
Me too. That's the plan. Certainly that's the plan. So fingers crossed, my friend. Fingers crossed.